Early in 2004, Dudley Local Education Authority embarked on an ambitious pilot to investigate how handheld computers, or PDAs, might be used to enhance learning. The pilot came about as a result of a 5-year review of the authority's Grid for Learning project, during which 200 pupils were asked to feed back on their experiences of using ICT at school.
They don't want to take turns. They don't want a timetable. They actually want to make the decision when to use technology and what for. They expected and were demanding 100% flexibility of access 100% of the time. And we thought the only way that could be provided was by looking at handheld technologies. We're into phase 1 of the project, involving 8 schools and between 350 devices. The devices we're using have been funded jointly by the local authority and by Palm, perhaps a 60-40 split.
The ambition is to extend the pilot into all schools in Dudley and to involve other PDA manufacturers. In this programme, we focus on 2 of the schools that are taking part in the first phase. Red Hill School, a mixed comprehensive in Stourbridge, and Mount Pleasant Primary School in Quarrybank.
The project began when the children were halfway through Year 5. All the children in the year group, that's 52, were given a Palm as their own personal property. They worked and developed their expertise around this at home and at school. They've now moved into Year 6 and the project has continued and the Palms have moved forward with them.
What we have done is we've established a single cohort of youngsters, around 70 in number, who spend the majority of their time together in the core subjects.
Right, if you could get your palms out, please. Right, and switched on, yes?
And the groups that we've got are all together for English, maths, science and languages.
Bonjour, Atlas.
Bonjour, Monsieur Westwood.
Ça va?
It's difficult to evaluate a project so early in at this stage, with only about 6 months down the road, although we're already very aware of both a number of advantages and some significant problems as well. The big advantage has been that it has actually achieved its primary objective, and that is that the youngsters have had the capability in their hands anytime, anywhere.
Well, they're like a games machine. Yeah. They're like multifunctional, all-in-one tiny things. They're like, really good.
Initially when the children had the Palms, they were very excited. It was a new toy.
My animation is of a tree growing.
Gradually, they saw how it could involve their homework and how they could use it at school.
I think it's a great way of learning because it makes everything more interesting. The programmes are interesting to use and you're learning why you're using them.
I've been making an animation for French, trying to show what sort of activities I've done over the summer holidays. I think using PDAs in class is a good idea because it's more entertaining than just writing words down in the book, and it stops you from having a short attention span.
I've found that the animator is highly motivating. I'll get the pupils to get on with this, and a few of them are like, yes.
They do provide the children with an opportunity to use a multi-sensory, multi-tasking device at any time during that learning experience that they have through the school day. That allows each youngster then to decide when it is and when it's not appropriate to engage ICT.
Attraction is spelled the same as attractions in English.
Thank you.
Très bien. Okay. I'm wondering in the long term how this will continue to be motivating. Will they want much more sophisticated software like you could get on a full-size PC or on a laptop machine?
We can find software currently that will replicate things that we can currently do elsewhere, but we're looking now for people to develop software that will actually challenge the way in which youngsters learn. Without a shadow of a doubt, we need subject-specific software that can support and enhance what the children are doing in the classroom.
Once you have input an equation, it will then plot the graph of that equation. The main activity was to investigate the effect of changing variables and constants in equations and seeing what the graphs would look like. Yes, Josh?
I've managed to do the graph.
You've managed to do it. Would you just like to show me? Right, thank you. When you input the equation, I think you'll find that you need brackets around the power of x minus 1. Right, Josh, so if you would like to put brackets around the power and see what difference it makes to the graph that you produce. If I had done that in a normal classroom situation, it would have taken me an awful lot longer and the students a lot longer to actually arrive at the same point as we were in the lesson today.
What you do is you enter the equation into here, and so that changes the direction of the line, so it's steep. But if I enter y equals 10x, then it gets even steeper.
Have you done them? Go on then, bring them up then. It's been a steep learning curve for me. I think the students probably pick up the technology a lot quicker than we do, and I have learnt a lot from the students. And not there's anything wrong with that. I think that's a good way to learn. They don't seem to be frightened of anything. They will have a go. If they fail, it doesn't matter. They will have another go. So they're perhaps further ahead than I am on that respect. That's 16.
We're very interested in the potential of the technology for peer group teaching, where the child on the device actually teaches a group or the whole class.
Come and explain what you found in your group, please. Thank you.
And the child being a tutor or mentor for their parents, taking the technology home and teaching mum and dad how to use the technology and sharing what they've done back in school. I suppose the potential is that every evening could become a parents' evening.
This project has been really excellent in that parents have been allowed to be part of the project, that children have been excited to show their homework to parents.
My dad's willing to sit with me and let me teach him how they work and what I've got on it, and sometimes he has a go as well.
It's quite nice when they come home with something that they can show you that you don't know about. They get a good sense of reward from that, I think, from being able to be better at something than mum and dad are.
Well, I'm a complete novice with any sort of computer electronically, and I've just found it amazing that the things that she comes home and said, look at this, Mum.
You don't tend to get the same degree, same level of sharing with your child with a piece of pen and paper work as you do when they bring it home with this particular piece of equipment. They want to share with you instead of just saying, how was your day? Oh, fine. It's, look what I've done today, Mum. Look what we've been doing in class. Look at what I need to do next for my home learning.
With the PDAs, sometimes it's very good and improves our relationship with the teachers because we can share our work more easily with them, and you can also share it with the whole class, but sometimes it doesn't always work out because if your PDA breaks, for example, you could get into a lot of trouble.
Certainly the robustness of some of the machines has been challenging. They need to be strong if young children are going to have them as part of their pencil case activity, which is really what we would like to feel they have, that it's another tool for them to use.
A big practical issue does arise from the fact that machines do break down, and the handhelds are no different to any other machine. The hardware was never designed to be passed around from one child to another, used as a sound system, and then the next minute as a communicator, and perhaps then onto the internet with it. And it's been challenged.
They can be a bit temperamental with, if you load some new software on, for example, it'll say this won't load on properly and you've got to reset your palm.
Sometimes they reset themselves when you're doing something, which is a bit annoying because sometimes it doesn't save it.
I did actually lose my charger the other day, so I had to use my friend's.
Sometimes it totally wipes out most of your programs.
But if anything goes wrong with them, they've got a reset button at the back. So which will if it freezes, for example, all you need to do is get your stylus out and tap that button. It'll just start from the beginning as if you were rebooting a computer.
So long as it's controlled and so long as it's not the only method of teaching, then to do it in a lesson like this is good. To do it every lesson would be incorrect. We should still use our exercise books to record information and for them to create more developed and sophisticated work on the laptops?
Currently, the type of software that we have available that we can run through school and use in terms of laptops and desktops, that software is not all available yet for the use on PDAs.
The animation that I showed today was much more basic than an animation that the learner can create using much more developed software. So until these can have software that is as developed, that is as sophisticated, then it would be wrong to just use these.
We've still got a lot of work to do in terms of customizing and develop the actual solution. We are talking to a number of content and application developers to extend its functionality.
I think over a period of time, as the PDAs develop their capability and the software that goes with them becomes comparable to that on the laptop, then the pendulum of advantage will indeed swing to the PDA, because then you have a truly portable device, handheld, in your pocket, available to you anytime, any place.
The ambition and the vision is eventually for us to provide a handheld device for every teacher and every learner from Key Stage 2 upwards. So we're looking at 40,000 plus devices.
I think as a school that's been part of the pilot project, it's been very interesting to see how we might develop this concept throughout the school. Certainly in Key Stage 2, it would be very advantageous for children, every child, to have their own PDA.
I think that it's good if everyone has PDAs, because then you can send everyone stuff, like you can get everyone involved in working with the computers.
If all the schools had PDAs, then it would be much better, because instead of kids going to school and saying, oh, it's going to be really boring today, it could be fun.
To make the scheme affordable to every family across the authority, we need to set up an e-learning foundation. So we have advice and expertise from the foundation. And when we're looking at a parental contribution in the region of the cost of a packet of crisps a week to the cost of a pint of beer a week, to put it into perspective. Hopefully that would make a contribution towards lessening the digital divide and social divide issues, and perhaps seeing the device as the Trojan horse that actually takes learning into families and communities where there's been little or no tradition of learning.
There's a clear opportunity with the handheld devices to be able to move into new ways of enhancing learning in the classroom, and to allow the learner to take far more control of their own learning than they currently may do.
In terms of the government's personalised learning agenda, we think these kind of technologies have the potential to turn their agenda into reality, that a properly customised resource could actually identify the learner, know what the learner's good at, knows what they're not good at, and actually deliver an appropriate programme, appropriate to their needs and abilities and interests, and actually help to raise standards. We see the project as a natural part of the evolution of how teachers and learners record what they're doing, from Roman wax tablet to a Victorian slate to the piles of exercise books and textbooks people have. I only see it as a 21st century pencil case, and in 5 to 10 years' time they'll be commonplace and there won't be a fuss about them.
They're fun at home and at school, and I just think it's a brilliant idea.